and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I am your host Rebecca Felgate, and today we're talking about the top 10 mysterious people in history, part 3. As this series goes on, the people who have made it to this list just keep getting more and more interesting. Who are they? Who were they? I mean, at times, we simply don't know. Before we get into this video, why don't you let me know who you think should be in part 4? Do you know anyone implicitly mysterious that we need to include? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below, and also please do leave a like on this video. If you want to check out the links in our description box, we've got links to our sources and to everyone who went into making this video. Stick around to the end. Coming in at number 10, we have Spring-Heeled Jack. Who, I say who, was Spring-Heeled Jack? The name Spring-Heeled Jack popped up in British news publications in 1837 amid a spate of weird attacks around Clapham Common in London. One Mary Stevens was walking to Lavender Hill through the park when a figure leapt out at her. Rather oddly, the chap, or beast, kinda kissed her and ripped off her clothes with his claws, which is pretty awkward, and claws, I say it again. I really would not like to be set upon, and neither did Mary. She claimed that his kiss was cold and clammy. She screamed on attack, and rightly so, which spooked the man or creature. He kind of sprang away. The next day, a man fitting the attacker's description was seen jumping in front of a carriage, causing a crash. He then reportedly escaped by jumping over a 9-foot wall whilst laughing manically. This odd behaviour earned him the nickname Spring-Heeled Jack, who is also called the Terror of London in the media. Not a real person, I hear you cry? You are wrong! The light-footed devil was actually officially recognised by the Lord Mayor of London on the 9th of January 1838. Following that, further sightings did crop up in newspapers, including a much publicised attack on 2 women in February 1838. One described the figure as vomiting blue and white flames, while his eyes resembled red balls of fire. My favourite is this 1867 illustration of the devil. He seems to have moved from London up to the northwest of England, and he was last spotted in Liverpool in 1904. So, who or what was Spring-Heeled Jack? Coming in at number 9, we have the Green Children of St Martin's Lane. If you visit the village of Woolpit in Suffolk, England, really not too far from where my parents live, locals will tell you about a mystery that befell the historic place in the 12th century. 2 children turned up out of seemingly nowhere. They spoke a different language and their skin was an off shade of greenish. The pair were taken in by kindly village folk who tried to care for them, only to find that they would only eat raw broad beans. Eventually the children's green skin began to fade into a normal colour and they were baptised by villagers. Sadly, the boy died, but the girl adjusted to her new life, learning English. When she was actually able to speak, she explained that her and her brother had come from a place called St Martin's Land, a world underground inhabited by green people. She said her and her brother were feeding their father's flock when they heard a loud sound and were somehow transported into an above ground field. Speaking of the whole life underground thing, this is how the girl was reported to have explained it. The sun does not rise upon our countrymen. Our land is little cheered by its beams. We are contented with that twilight which among you precedes the sunrise or follows sunset. Moreover, a certain luminous country is seen not far distant from ours, and divided by it by a very considerable river. Is this a hint at a parallel universe, or do you think the children were faking it? If so, why were they green? Why did they stay green for so long? And, you know, where did they come from? Ooh, this is such a mystery. Coming into number 8, we have ELISA Lamb. This is actually quite a recent story, which makes it even scarier. ELISA Lamb is a true enigma. In 2013, the Canadian student went missing after a stay at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. The hotel itself has seen many dramas over the years, but this one has video evidence and it's really bizarre. The video was posted of her from an elevator security camera by police, and this was the last time she was seen alive. In the video, she's acting exceptionally strangely, very erratically. From the footage, it clearly looks like ELISA is talking to someone who just wasn't there. She presses a number of buttons in the elevator, then the doors fail to close. She is seen peering out of the elevator and then trying to hide in the corner. She then exits the elevator and seems to be pleading with someone invisible outside of the door. Now the footage does end with her walking out of shot and the lift door opening and closing a number of times, which seems to be a bizarre mechanical fault. ELISA was travelling on on her own, and at first she was in a shared room, but was moved because her behaviour appeared to be very odd. Now, ELISA was known to have bipolar and depression. She went missing at the end of January, and her body was found on the 19th of February. Now, the grisly discovery was made by hotel maintenance workers who had come to investigate issues with the water pressure system. It seems that she was dead in the water tank. She was naked and her clothes and possessions were found floating next to her. It isn't possible for her to have climbed in on her own. It seems that her death shares some very disturbing similarities with the 2005 movie Dark Water. So what happened to ELISA Lam, and who was she talking to outside the elevator? We just don't know. Coming into number 7, we have the Count of Saint-Germain. The Count of Saint-Germain was a European adventurer who was dubbed the Wonder Man by Voltaire. The French national was a member of high society, and he was hailed as a great philosopher. The only thing is that nobody actually knew his origins, where he came from, or what his upbringing was like. In order to deflect questions about his upbringing, he'd say crazy things like he was 500 years old. He was wealthy and highly educated, and at times claimed to be the son of a prince, although these were unfounded. It seems that at one point he may have been arrested in London on suspicion of espionage, but was released. Lady Jemima York once wrote a letter referring to him. She said, "He is an odd creature, and the more I see him, the more curious I am to know something about him." He died in what historians think were his late 80s, which is actually really old for the time that he was alive. Nobody was any of the wiser as to who he actually was, which is, again, super strange. Coming into number 6, we have the Poe toaster. Who are they? Edgar Allan Poe died in 1849, and just when we thought that the raven had quaffed its last, 100 years after the American poet's death, a mysterious figure started appearing at the graveside of Poe's final resting place on the anniversary of his birthday. So that's January the 19th for all those who want to pop along to Baltimore and try and solve this mystery. The graveside figure is always clad in a black cloak and wielding a silver-tipped cane. Ostentatious. I love it. The visitor brings with them 3 red roses and half a bottle of cognac. They raise a toast to the poet, drink it up, and then leave the whiskey and flowers graveside. While people go along and try and spot the mystery toaster, nobody has ever tried to uncloak or disturb the figure, which actually I'm really glad for. Some things I think should remain a mystery. Coming into number 5, we have Madame Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. What a mouthful! Did Madame Helena have real spiritual truth and paranormal powers, or was she a charlatan? Either way, I think I like her. Her narrative is debated today. She features in Lionel and Patricia Fanthorpe's book The World's Most Mysterious People, and it's easy to see why. Helena was born in 1831 to a wealthy Russian family, and from childhood possessed unusual psychic powers. She ran away from her husband and escaped Russia aged 18 and went on a madcap adventure through the Americas, India, and the Oriental East. Some critics claim that this never happened and that she made it all up, but whatever happened, she did return to Europe spiritually enlightened. She met a man, Mahatma Maurya, that she claimed she had seen in her psycho-spiritual dreams since she was small. The woman created her own religion called Theosophy, and she changed her name to HPB, and actually many people worshipped her as a guru, while some were vehemently opposed to her. She spoke Russian, Georgian, English, French, Italian, Arabic, and Sanskrit. Let's also remember that this was the 1800s, a horrible time for sassy, bold women, but she was doing her thing. The mystery surrounding her probably comes from a society who simply could not believe that she was such a formidable force. Coming into number 4, we have Berenger Sauniere. Berenger Sauniere was born in 1852 and died in 1917, aged 64. His life and death sparked much intrigue at the time and beyond, ever since he moved to the French village of Rennes-le-Château. Stories about the village and the priest consist of many theories, some of which involve the mysterious Knights Templar, the Merovingians, the Cathars, the Holy Grail, Mary Magdalene, and the remains of Jesus Christ. Oddly, the priest handled a lot of money. Documents from the 1890s suggest that he spent around 660,000 francs when he only had a salary of 90 francs a year. Some say that he found treasure buried under the land of Rennes-le-Château. Others say that he found evidence that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were married and produced offspring that eventually became the Merovingian dynasty. Some think he was being bribed by a higher force. We know that the priest was fired, effectively in 1909, but he refused to leave the village of Rennes-le-Château for some reason. Something, or perhaps someone, was keeping him there. His story has inspired many mystery and crime novels, including The Da Vinci Code. Coming into number 3, we have Kaspar Hauser. Kaspar Hauser seemed to appear from nowhere on the streets of Nuremberg in Germany. He carried a letter with him that was addressed to a local military man. The letter claimed that he was the son of a dead cavalryman and was to be taken in. He was taken to a police station and he wrote his name down as Kaspar. He claimed that actually he was raised in a dark dungeon and that the first human that he'd ever met was a mysterious man who visited him not long before his release. He always hid his face, and Kaspar said it was he who taught him to read and write. Some people thought that perhaps Kaspar was an illegitimate member of the Baden royalty. The mystery continued. Often Kaspar would appear wounded, and he would say that a mystery cloaked figure had come to cut him. In 1830, 3 years before his death, he was involved in a pistol accident. Again, it was all very suspicious. In 1833, he claims he was lured into a courtyard and stabbed in the stomach by a stranger who claimed to have been watching him. Eventually, Kaspar did die of his wounds. His grave can be found in Ansbach, where his headstone reads in Latin, "Here lies Kaspar Hauser, enigma of his time, mysterious as death." So what was going on? Was he making it all up? Was he actually an illegitimate member of the royal family? Again, we don't know. Coming into number 2, we have Marie Laveau. Marie Laveau is one of the most famous mystical women in history and often referred to as the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans. I kind of like that name. She was born a free Creole woman in Louisiana in 1801. Details of her life are pretty sketchy, but she managed to charm those who encountered her. Legend has it that Marie was beautiful, wise, and witchy. She practiced magic medicine and was able to heal people. It is also said that she was indeed a voodoo priestess and was able to read and control people's minds. She could summon spirits and raise the dead. It seems that she held a ceremony in her 70s that was attended by 12,000 people. They were oddly drawn to her. She died age 80 and people still visit her grave today, leaving offerings in exchange for requests and wishes. Finally, coming into the number 1 spot, we have Rasputin. Rah rah Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen. Honestly, I think that song is an absolute banger and it makes me dance all the time. And so too was the mysterious Rasputin a banger, if you know what I mean. Rasputin was a renegade monk, a mystic healer, a sexual deviant, and a political uprooter. He's also the man who would not die. Rasputin allegedly stopped the bleeding of the haemophiliac prince, son of Tsar Nicholas, and was rumoured to be a lover to the wife, the Tsarina, hence the song. 2.5 years before his death in December 1916, Rasputin survived a murder attempt by a beggar woman. He was stabbed in the gut and lost a lot of blood, but miraculously, he survived a wound that would usually kill. Then, on that fateful day in December, he proved very, very hard to off indeed. It is said that he ate a meal heavily laced with poison, but he lived. Then the men conspiring to kill him decided to shoot him with a barrage of bullets, but he still wouldn't die. They tossed his body into an ice-cold river to drown, and I probably don't need to tell anyone how cold Russia is in December, right? Some further reports suggest that he was rescued from a river by passers-by, and that he still drew shaky breath. Some say his penis was cut off and obtained, smuggled, and now reportedly rests in a jar in the Museum of Erotica in St. Petersburg. Also, it's said to be a foot long. I would show you a picture, but this video would be demonetized in a heartbeat. But you know, have fingertips, we'll Google. Not that I'm encouraging it. Although, I mean, maybe I am. So, Rasputin, what was the deal? You tell me. Mystery. Okay, before I go, I want to read some comments from part 2. You guys had a lot to say. Bhocolate Bhip Bookies, great name, said, "I swear I've seen Amelia at every single skate park I've been to." Good, great. Ghost Keel said, "There is another theory about the man in the iron mask. Some suspect that he was the illegitimate son of the king who hid him away to prevent it becoming known. Honestly, I think that's a pretty good theory." Angelic Romeo 88 said, "My most favourite hostess with the mostess. I believe that Amelia got far enough away and lived out her days in solace." Also, Rebecca for prayers. "I honestly do hope she got away, and thank you for being so kind, but honestly, I've got to pass up the presidency. It seems like a lot of work and half the population will just hate you. I would however, settle for Empress or Queen. Or just like, I don't know, I'd like to lounge on a big cushion while people bring me wine. That kind of sounds like the ideal future. Great, good. Thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to let me know who you think should be in part 4. Is there anyone mysterious out there that's flown under my radar so far? If you want to read more about these mysterious people, then there are loads of links in our description box, as well as links to the people that went into making this video. If you're not a subscriber, we're poised to hit 6 million by the end of the year, so go ahead and subscribe and join the massive family now. Like this video, show me some love, why not stick around, we've got a whole playlist of creepy videos. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and I'll see you next time.